Today's lesson is Module 1, Lesson 15. Our objectives today are just a continuation of Lesson 14, using ratios and ratios tables to make ordered pairs and plotting them on a coordinate plane. Your first two objectives are a repeat from Lesson 14. So first, you need to show that you understand that the ratio A to B is the ordered pair AB. You also are going to show that you can plot the ratios from a ratio table in the coordinate plane. You're going to understand after the lesson today that a line created from a ratio table will go through the origin, which is 0, 0, and you will show that you understand how to create the equation y equals kx from a ratio table where k is the value of y. Now we've done 2 days of lessons where we create equations. This is just kind of redefining where we would start for the equation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here at the end of the notes and also in the lesson itself. You have one vocabulary word for the lesson, which is origin. Though you're introduced to this in the lesson before, we're going to formally write it. And the origin is the center of the coordinate plane, which is point 0, 0, and that's going to be right where the x and y axis cross each other. Your example is just a ratio table. Instead of giving you an entire word problem, I'm just going to show you the ratio table, how we go from a ratio table to an equation to a graph. Technically, you can go from a ratio table to a graph and then to equation as well, depending on what the question's asking. They may only ask for an equation or they may only ask for a graph. So you just need to make sure you read that question well. So our ratio table is miles to hours, and like I showed you Friday, I labeled them X and Y. Before we learned about the coordinate plane, we were labeling them A and B, so this is the same idea, just now we're going to label them by the axis they are associated with. So my miles to hours, I have a 2 to 1, a 4 to 2, and a 63. So again, the way we create those is parentheses, first number, comma, second number, close the parentheses. The equation asks us to start with y, which would be the second side, or what we were calling side B. So this is y is equal to the value of y, which in the objective, they labeled it k and gave it a variable of itself. I'm still writing the value of y because I want you to remember what belongs there, not just the variable, but how you would find that. So y is equal to the value of y times x, which is just side y, equals the value of side y times the other side, which is now being defined as x. In this ratio table, we have y is hours equals the value, so that would be what's under hours over the other one, 1/2, times the other side, which is miles. Interchanging a variable for hours, I did h equals 1/2, and then I put a variable for miles, m. So h equals 1/2 m is the equation. If they are wanting you to put it in terms of y and x, all you do is replace the variable with whichever axis is associated with it. So my hours has a y associated with it, so I'd replace that with y equals 1/2, and the m is associated with x, so y equals 1/2 x. On the coordinate plane, you would just plot your points. So 2 to 1, I start with the 2 on the x-axis, going up to 1, then 4 to 2, 6 to 3, make my 3 points, starting in my origin, draw my line through, and I have my line. You need to make sure that you are labeling all the parts of your coordinate plane. So I labeled the x-axis, I have the y-axis, I have my origin with a 0. Then I labeled this side hours because the y-axis is associated with hours, so I'm labeling that. And the x-axis is associated with miles, and so I'm labeling that. So anyone could come and look at this graph and not have anything else, and they would understand, oh, and for 2 miles it took them an hour. For 4 miles it took them 2 hours, and so on. It allows anyone to read the graph and shows to me and whoever else may be grading your work that you understand what this means. And just in case, I know those letters are a little close together, that is read application. So the application of the formula to this problem.